So good morning to one and all. Welcome to VLSI design class once again. And in the last class, we discussed about the unit number 5. So in this case, we discussed about the different types of FPGA architectures, right? Now let's go to start the unit number 6, which is the low power CMOS logic circuits. Okay, unit number 6, low power CMOS logic circuits, right? Now let's go just see here in case of low power CMOS circuit. So basically, in the CMOS circuit, whenever we require a low power, it is better to use the CMOS logic circuit because the CMOS logic circuit is very good for power consumption, also power dissipation, low power and low power consumption and low power dissipation, right? So in this case, in case of CMOS logic, whenever we need in this case low power CMOS circuits, we have to remember, we have to concentrate. So now, in order to get the low power, because nowadays, just observe here, we are going to, there is a some conditions is that as the technologies goes on increases here, we are going to reduce the power. Okay, as the technologies goes on increases, what happens? The size of the transistor goes on reduce. So whenever the size goes on reduces, what happens? Its power, the power required for those devices becomes very, very less. So therefore, the low power is also very, very important factor in case of low power CMOS logic circuits. So therefore, we have to concentrate on low power CMOS circuits in this case. So the methodology, so basically the methodologies which are used to achieve the low power consumption in the digital system span has a wide range of, basically a wide range of input device levels to algorithmic level. That is device level to algorithmic level or process level to algorithmic level. Similarly, device characteristics, for example, what are the device characteristics? For example, threshold voltage of the transistors, and also the device geometry and interconnection parameter properties are significant factor in lowering the power consumption. Okay, in order to lower the power consumption, these are the most important parameters. These are threshold voltage and the device geometry and also interconnect properties. Okay, they will be the most important property in order to lower the power consumption. So in this case, let us consider the circuit level measures, for example, such as proper choice of the circuit design, okay, proper choice of circuit design style, and also the reduction of voltage swing and clocking strategies can also be used to reduce the power dissipation at the transistor level. Okay, so and in case of architecture level, these measures includes smart power management of various system blocks and also utilization of pipelining and parallelism and the design of bus taxes. Also responsible for all these power factors. And similarly, we can say that the power consumed by the system can be reduced by the proper selection of data processing algorithms, and especially we can minimize the number of switching events for the given task. Okay, by using these tasks, we are going to reduce the power consumption. Okay, so similarly, depending upon this, in this chapter, we are going to concentrate on circuit level design measures, or we can say that is the transistor level design measures, and these are the applicable and which can be applied to reduce the power dissipation of the digitally integrated circuits. Okay, there is the circuit levels, circuit design levels are able to, we are going to reduce the power dissipation in the digital integrated circuit. And here we are going to discuss various sources of power consumption. Okay, in this chapter, we are going to discuss various sources of power consumption and also design strategies will be used to reduce the power dissipation. Okay, what are the design strategies we are going to reduce the power dissipation. Now let's consider the overview of the power consumption. Okay, what is the overview of the power consumption? So basically, in case of CMOS circuits, the average power consumption can be expressed as some three components. Okay, some of the three components. What are those? They are dynamic power consumption. It is also known as a switching power consumption. Okay. Similarly, second term in this case is the short circuit power consumption, and the third one is leakage power consumption. Okay, basically we have to concentrate on these three in case of CMOS circuit. For example, the digital circuit consists of other than the CMOS circuits. For example, around NMOS technology like this. Okay, in that case, what happened? We have to include the static power dissipation also. Okay, we have to include static power dissipation, because in the static power dissipation, there is a large amount of current which flows from VDD line to VSS line. That is, when the signal is not changing. Okay, just when the signal levels, input levels be at the constant level. Okay, so what happened? There is some amount of power dissipation. There is some amount of current will flow from VDD line to VSS line. So that current we can call as the static current, because there is no change in input signal. It is always the constant, so that the condition of the transistors also there is no change. There is a pull up and pull down transistor. So therefore, at some particular voltage, for example, particularly we can say that when the input is logic high, because NMOS technology, when input is logic high, both pull up transistor as well as the pull down transistor both are on condition, so that there is some amount of current will flow from VDD line to VSS line. That current we can call as the static current, and because of this static current, there is a static power dissipation. That means there is a current will flow from VDD line to ground line. So ground line. So that is we can consider the fourth power component in that type of circuits. Okay, totally we are having four type of components. The first component is the dynamic, or we can call it as the switching power consumption. Okay, dynamic or power, that means when the signal changes from high to low and low to high. Okay, there is some amount of power drawn in the circuit, because at some particular point there is small amount of current. Both the transistor pull up and pull down transistors are on condition within the very short duration of the time. So there is some amount of current will flow from VDD line to VSS line, and that current we can call as the dynamic power, because why it is called dynamic means there is a change in the logic levels. Okay, the light is not constant here. So there is very slowly increasing, changing in this case. So that means that is depending upon the type of power consumption, we can call it the dynamic or switching power consumption. Similarly, we are having a short circuit power consumption. Whenever there is a short circuit, there is a power consumption will exist. Similarly, we can discuss each and everything in this case. And there is another one is the leakage power consumption. Okay, and the last one is other than the CMOS circuits, we are going to consider the static power consumption also. Right now, let's see. We'll go to the first one, that is the dynamic or switching power dissipation. Okay, we'll go for this. So in the switching power dissipation, basically this component represents the power dissipation during a switching events. Okay, during the switching event, that is, with the output node voltage, the output node is of the CMOS logic gate make a transition. It may be from 0 to high or high to 0. Okay, so in that condition, particularly in case of CMOS circuit, there is some switching power be dissipated when the energy is drawn from the power supply to charge up the output node capacitance. Right? You can go into assume that this is a CMOS device. Okay, assume that this is a CMOS device, for example. This is the load capacitance. So therefore, what happens? Some energy will be drawn from the VDD line to the ground to charge the capacitor. This one, because depending upon the switching action. So what happened? There is some amount of power is drawn, and from the power supply to charge up the output node capacitance. So during the charge up phase, the output node is make the full transition from 0 to VDD line, and one half of the energy is drawn from the power supply is dissipated in the form of heat conducting the PMOS transistors. Right? In case of CMOS device, we are having the pull-up transistor is the PMOS transistor. So therefore, whenever the capacity, the load output capacity charges, okay, so during the charging period, so what happens? The capacity charges to the value of VDD. So during this transition, half of the power is drawn by the PMOS transistor in the form of heat. Okay, so that is also have to consider in this case, PMOS transistors. So therefore, similarly, another thing in this case, the no power is drawn from the power supply. Okay, there is no power is drawn from the power supply during the charge down phase. That means when the capacitor, when the pull down transistors are on condition, okay, so what happens? There is no charge, charge is drawn from the power supply, because the pull-up transistor is on condition, off condition, and pull-down is on condition. The capacitor discharges. That's why we call charge down phase. Okay, so not only these things, some output capacitance during the charge up is during a charge up condition, the output capacitance is dissipated, the power in the form of heat. Okay, in the form of heat in case of PMOS transistors, and similarly during the charge down condition, NMOS transistors are off condition, charge up NMOS transistors are off condition. In that case also, some amount of power will be dissipated. Okay, some amount will be dissipated in the form of heat, because the transistor will be off condition and the reverse biasing to the NMOS transistors. Okay, so that is the main thing you have to remember here. So the output signal will be changing from VDD to 0 line. So let us consider this circuit in this case. In this case, just observe here. Then this is the NOR circuit, NOR output. The output of the NOR circuit is NOR gate is connected to the two inputs of the NAND gates. Okay, so in this case, there is a NAND gate in this case. That means the output of the NOR gate drives the two NAND gates in this case. So therefore, the total power consumption depends upon the capacitance that exists in the power. Okay, the capacitance that exists, the cell power drawn by the capacitor, and also these outputs are interconnected to the inputs of the NAND gate. So therefore, interconnection capacitance also we have to consider, plus the input capacitance of these NAND gates also can be considered in this case. Okay, so therefore, here just remember the total capacitance is equals to the output node capacitance of the gate itself and the total interconnected capacitance, because the connection is nothing but existing capacitance here. Okay, and also the input capacitance that drives the input nodes. Okay, so therefore, the total capacitance in this case is equals to C drain plus C interconnect plus C input. Okay, sum of these capacitance in this case. So therefore, we can consider that basically the output node, in case of output node, here basically we can consider that consists of basically the output node, it consists of just remember the capacitance that is connected. Mainly there is the, so it consists of basically the output node capacitance of gate consists of mainly junction parasitic capacitance. Okay, this is basically the diffusion capacitance reason, because the transistors are on and off condition. So in the on condition, we have to consider the diffusion capacitance, drain diffusion capacitance in this case, this MOSFET says, and these will be take part in the condition. That means here, as you know that the diffusion capacitance is proportional to the area. Okay, diffusion capacitance is proportional to the area. So therefore, the amount of diffusion capacitance is the linear function of a junction area, we can say. Okay, so that means the total size, the size of the total drain diffusion area dictates the amount of parasitic capacitance at the output node. Okay, the amount of, remember the size of that means the output capacitance here depends upon the size of the capacitance also, because the output is counted the inputs of the other gates. The input capacitance is also very important. The input capacitance, nothing but the gate capacitance of the devices. So this gate capacitance is proportional to the area. So therefore, Diffusion capacitance is also proportional to the area. So you have to consider this capacitance also very, very important in order to consider the power dissipation. And also, we have to connect the interconnection lines between the gate. Also, we have to consider, because just see here, this line will be connected to this line, and this line is also connected to this line. That means the amount of capacitance due to this interconnection also have to consider. Okay, so the interconnection lines between the gate contribute the second component of the total capacitance. Okay, this is the first component is this one, and second component is the interconnection capacitance. Right. Next, so basically this is these interconnection capacitances depends upon the parasitic component. Okay, parasitic interconnection components. Okay, so this interconnected capacitance becomes the most important component compared to the transistor related capacitances. So finally, you can concentrate the input capacitance, because the input is basically the input capacitance of the next gates, other gates, it depends upon the gate capacitance. Okay, that is the gate oxide. So therefore, the input capacitance also have to consider here. Okay, so therefore, the total capacitance in this case depends upon the totally. We can consider the total capacitance is equals to just so now. Just observe here, total capacitance is equals to C drain, that is the capacitance due to circuit itself, output capacitance of the driver gate, plus interconnection capacitance, plus the number of devices which are connected to this output terminal. That means the input capacity of the driven gates. Okay, so there is the C drive plus total number of, that is the driver capacitor, output is driver capacitor, only one driver capacitor sufficient, plus how many number of interconnections there. You can take the sum of these interconnection capacitance plus how many number of inputs the output can drive. That is also what to consider in this case. So therefore, so total, now in this case, the average power dissipation in the CMOS logic gates can be calculated. Basically, it can be calculated from the energy required to charge up the output capacitance, output node to the VDD. Okay, the total here, there is total power dissipation in this case depends upon the total number of energy stored in this case is equals to the charges the output node and the charge down and the total load capacitance of the load to capacitor to the ground. Okay, that is a thing you have to remember. That is so first thing is the amount of charge required to charge the output node to the VDD and charge down condition, the charge down, the total output load capacitance to the ground. Okay, so therefore the total average power is given by this equation in this case. Okay, the average power is equal to basically P average is equals 1 by T integral of 0 to T, okay, 0 to T V of T into I of T into dt. Okay, where we are having the two transition, low to high and high to low. Okay, the one time constant will be changes. In one time constant, we are having two conditions. Okay, 0 to T by 2, we are having one level, and T by 2 to T another level you are getting in this case. So during one cycle we are having full one cycle. That means high and low. So therefore, from 0 to 1 condition, just observe here. The first case, when 0 to T by 2, the total power is equal to output power multiplied by the current to the diode. The current to the diode is now, current to the capacitor, the output capacitance. That is equal to C load into dV by dt. Okay, so that means here we are taking minus C load into dV out by Vt into dt plus. Similarly, from T to T by 2 to T, okay, T by 2 to T in this condition. So this is in this case, what happens is one transistor depending upon the output load capacitance. Okay, the transistor is on condition, the capacitor discharges. Okay, here the capacitor will be discharged because when the signal is changing from 0 to T/2, so assuming that high state, so in that condition, the capacitor will be discharges. So this discharge condition can be represented by minus sign. So this is the amount of current that is from C load into dV by dt. Okay, because the current through the capacitor is equal to C into dV by dt. Okay. Similarly, in this condition from T/2 to T, you're having low state. In this case, pull down transistor is off condition, pull up transistor is on. So it means pull up transistor is on indicates that the voltage drop across the pull up transistor is VDD minus V out. Okay, this is the voltage drop across the P-type transistor into the capacitance, that is the capacitor charges to the value, that is C into dV out by dt. Okay, C dV by dt to dt. This is the total number average capacitance, the total average power. So in this case, the average power is equals to average switching power is equals to power consumption in the CMOS device is equal to 1 by T into C load into, that is half CV square. Depending upon this one, we are going to solve this equation 1 by T C load into VDD whole square. Okay, solving this equation, you get this equation. Okay, so now depending on this, we are assuming this 1 by T is nothing but the clock frequency, you can say. So depending upon that, so therefore we are replacing 1 by T is equal to clock frequency f clock. So that will average power is equal to C load into square of the VDD into FC log. Okay. Next we can go for the that is the case. So in this case, so here the analysis of this switching power dissipation given now in this case under the assumption that the output node of the CMOS goes under the power consuming transition from 0 to VDD line in each clock pulse. Okay, this assumption basically in this case, and in this condition, the node transition rate that means the node transition rate is lower than the clock rate. Remember, this is the first assumption we are going to consider in this case, because the node transition rate is less than the clock rate depending upon the circuit topology. So therefore, and the logic style, and also depending upon the input signal statistics also. So in order to consider this one, we are going to introduce another bit in this case that is called alpha T. So where alpha T you can consider the node transition factor, which is the effective number of power consuming voltage transition expressed per clock cycle. So therefore, depending upon this node transition factor, we are going to represent the average switching power consumption becomes, okay, so there is this equation alpha T into C load into VDD whole square into FC log, okay, F clock. So this is the total average power in this case, remember. Okay, so next we can go for that is the, so depending upon these equations, so these power dissipations, that is what are the equations we are given in the previous, there is 11.3 and 11.4. Basically, they are taking into account the charge up and charge down process of the output node capacitance. So already we discussed, and that is the case. And in the basically in case of complex CMOS gate, the most of the internal circuit nodes also make the full or partial voltage transition during the switching. So this also you have to consider. That means here we are going to concentrate on not only those components, we have to consider the parasitic capacitance associated with each internal node. Okay, so this internal transition contributes the overall power dissipation of the circuit. So therefore, the overall power dissipation of the circuit is given by generally, in general, depending upon the internal node voltage transition. Okay, the node voltage swing basically we are given by this equation here. Slow down. This equation depending upon the P average is equal to I is equal to 1 to number of nodes, depending I is the number of nodes in this case, and alpha T I into C I into VI and VD into F clock. Right. So this is the thing you have to remember in this case, C into V. Okay. So just observe here. This is the equation we are going to take it from this equation in this case. Alpha C load into only small voltage VDD, V voltage square. So we can consider this value factor in this case. We are not going to neglect the internal load capacitance also. Okay, where CI represents the parasitic capacitance associated with each node, and alpha Ti represents the corresponding node transition factor associated with that node. Okay, alpha Ti, and Ci. These are the two factors. Therefore, we have to consider these are the charges, that is the switching power dissipation in the CMOS logic circuit. Okay, next we can go for the short circuit power dissipation. Okay, we can go for the short circuit power dissipation. Whenever we can consider the short circuit power dissipation, okay, in the for example, let us consider the CMOS inverter circuit. So we can drive the CMOS circuit with some input waveform with a finite rise and fall time. Okay, so in that case, both NMOS and PMOS transistors in the circuit may conduct simultaneously for a short amount of time during the switching. Okay, so PMOS transistors and NMOS transistors both are conduct during a. So basically, just remember, already we told, you know, whenever you are having the transition from input to be 0 to 1 and 1 to 0, at a time both the transistors are unconditional within a small duration of time. Okay, during this switching period, say there is a direct path between VDD line to power supply line to ground line. So therefore, the current component which passes through the NMOS and PMOS during the switching condition in this case is known as the short circuit current. We can consider here. Okay, so when the two transistors, assume here. So this transistor is on condition, this transistor is on condition during this condition here. In all these cases here, the signal is changing from 0 to high. So at some particular point, what happened? Both the transistors will be turned on. So therefore, there exists a small duration between VDD and VSS. There is small amount of current will flow from VDD to VSS. That condition is known as short circuit current. Similarly, during the trailing edge, in this case also, from high to low, again there is a chance of getting the two transistors to be turned on. Okay, in that case also there is small amount of current will flow from VDD line to VSS line. Okay, that type of current we can call as a short circuit current. So this type of current is basically prevalent if the output load capacitance is small, and if the input signal rise and fall time will be very large. Okay, remember this point. So this type of circuit will be current will be exists depending upon when the output load capacity is very small, or rise time and fall time the input signal will be very high. Then this type of current will be dominates here. Okay. Similarly, depending upon that, we are having the equation in this case. You remember here. So this is the average short circuit current that is given by 1/12. You remember this equation in this case. Okay, no need to derive this equation. So you substitute all these equations here in this case, KT and F log by VDD, VDD minus VT. Okay. Similarly, there are another equation. Now in this case, you remember the total the short circuit power dissipation becomes in this case average power is equal to this equation. Okay. So next we can go for the leakage power dissipation. Okay, so go for the leakage power dissipation. Now just observe in this case, so leakage power dissipation. Okay, so basically you know that NMOS transistors are also in the PMOS transistor. Basically, in case of CMOS circuit, we are going to use the NMOS as well as the PMOS transistors. Okay, so these gates, these transistors having zero reverse leakage current and also sub-threshold current. Now let's see what is the threshold and leakage currents in this case. So these two main leakage current. So we run two main important leakage current in this case. One is called reverse non-zero leakage current, and also sub-threshold currents. Okay. So now these two are in this case, the reverse diode leakage current exists when the PN junction between the drain and the bulk of the transistor is reverse bias. Okay, we'll discuss now in this case. So just observe here, the reverse bias leakage current basically occur when the PN junction between drain and bulk of the transistor, that means drain and the substrate of the transistor is reverse bias. Okay, and this reverse bias junction conducts a reverse saturation current which is drawn from the power supply. Okay, so because of this reverse bias junction draws some amount of current from the power supply. For example, just observe in this case, assuming that, okay, you are assuming that this is the inverter circuit, okay, the CMOS inverter, assuming there is some condition, this is the NMOS transistor, the pull down transistor, and this is the pull up transistor. Let us take here, we are going to use the NVL transistor, NVL structure to design this CMOS transistor in this case. Okay, so in this case, so because assuming that this transistor is on, depending upon the input transition, this transistor is on and this transistor is off. That indicates that the drain of this transistor, this is the drain of the transistor, is reverse bias. Okay, the drain of the transistor is connected in the reverse bias condition. So there exists a current because the drain and this is the bulk in this case. This is the well structure. We use like a bulk for the PMOS transistor. So there is some amount of current will be drawn from this reverse bias junction. Okay, from this current will be drawn in this case. Okay, this is the reverse bias condition, right? Similarly, so there is some potential difference of VDD between its drain and the NVL. So there exists a potential difference. Okay, and because of this, what happened? There is some diode leakage is flow through the drain junction. Okay, already we discussed. Similarly, in the NVL region, so in this region, there is the PMOS transistor here. The PMOS transistor also the reverse bias with VDD. Okay, not only the because this transistor, this is the transistor is the pull down transistor. There is a pull up transistor here. So this transistor is reverse bias. At the same time, this transistor is also reverse bias. So therefore, there exists a reverse bias condition. Once again, here also there exists a leakage current. So totally leakage current flows in this direction. Okay. So therefore, the NVL of the PMOS transistor is also reverse bias with VDD with respect to the P-type substrate. Okay, with respect to the P-type substrate. With the P-type substrate, this transistor is reverse bias. Therefore, so some leakage current exists because of the NVL region also. Okay, totally. The reverse leakage current in the PN can be represented by the diode equation. That is I is equal to IS into e to the power of minus Q into VT by, there is Q, there is eta into VT, there is eta into VT, Q into V bias by VT, exponential function like this. Okay, so I will show the diode equation here. So this one, I reverse is equal to IS. Okay, this is IS, this is nothing but current density. Current density is current per area. So therefore, current density in the area is nothing but the reverse saturation current in this case. IS JS into A into the reverse saturation current is equal to e to the power of Q into the amount of voltage that is applied V bias, this reverse bias you can say, divided by KT. V by KT by Q, VT. Okay, there is eta into VT, you can say now this minus 1. So this is the reverse leakage current of the PN junction that exists in the transistors. Okay, so this current actually we are going to represent like this, where V bias is the reverse bias voltage across the PN junction, and JS is the reverse saturation current density, and A is the junction area. Okay, and this current is approximately 1 to 5 picoamperes per micrometer square. Right, remember this equation. So not only this component, another component is also exists in the circuit that is called the sub-threshold current in the CMOS circuit. Another leakage current also exists, basically which is due to carrier diffusion between the source and the drain regions of a weak inversion layer. Okay, there is a carrier diffusion between the sub-threshold current is nothing basically due to the carrier diffusion between the source and the drain regions of the transistor in the weak inversion. That means when the transistor is in the weak condition, okay, when the voltage is very nearer to the threshold voltage, okay, the turn-on voltage is very nearer. That means the charge is not completely exists. Okay, in that condition, the carrier diffusion between the source and the drain regions of the weak inversion. This is the current is flows from source to drain region. Okay, source to drain region. So that current is called as sub-threshold current in this region. So in this case, the behavior is NMOS transistor operating in the threshold region of the bipolar junction transistor. Okay, so and this current exhibits the exponential dependence of the gate voltage. Okay, this current represents the exponential dependency of the equation. So this is given by this equation here. ID threshold is equal to QDN. You know this equation is in this case depending upon the width and length factor of the device into exponential factor of this equation. Okay, so therefore similarly the total power dissipation depending upon this you have the total power dissipation is depends upon all these four components in this case. That is, what are the components here? Already we discussed initially. Okay, short circuit power dissipation and also switching power dissipation. First one is the switching power dissipation, short circuit power dissipation, and threshold, that is the leakage power dissipation depending upon the substrate threshold, and also the leakage, that is the reverse saturation current. Okay, all these components will holds good in this case. So depending upon that, you have the total dissipation is equals to power total is equal to alpha T C load into VDD whole square into F for C class. That is the actual plus this is the actual power dissipation already we discussed plus the remaining leakage components. Okay, the leakage component in this case is equal to power basically the power VDD into VDD is common for all the cases. So I short circuit plus I leakage plus I static. Okay, I short circuit basically denotes the average short circuit current. I leakage basically denotes the reverse leakage current and also threshold leakage current already discussed, and also I static that denotes the DC current component drawn from VDD line to VSS line. Okay, so the other is I static. Okay, I static in this case. Okay, so these are the power dissipation that actually exists in the circuit, right? So these are the different type of power dissipations in the circuit. So in the next class, we can directly go to the low power design through voltage scaling. Okay, in the next class, we can go for the low power design through voltage scaling. In this case, we can design what type of voltage in order to reduce this power dissipation, what type of circuit we require. We'll discuss in the next class, right?